Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Q&A of Wrath of Becky. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue pour le Q&A de Wrath of Becky. Welcome op the Q&A van Wrath of Becky. We have the directors here with us. Obviously, it will be in English. First of all, thank you for this amazing movie, kicking off the Biff night. Let's start with the beginning, because the movie is a sequel, basically. You wrote the script. Can you tell us something more about the development of the script, since you were not really involved with the first movie? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah. So we were contacted by the producers at Boulder Light Pictures, and they said, "Look, we know, you guys are just coming off something, and you didn't have anything to do with the first one. Would you guys be interested in coming on board to do a sequel to Becky?" And we kind of immediately thought, yeah, that would be really fun. Like, we love the first one. It's very fun. We have a lot of ideas for how we'd want to do a sequel to, like, kind of make it its own thing. And they said, okay, great. You have 3 weeks to write the movie. And we were like, oh, okay. So we wrote the movie in 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. And then it all just moved very quickly. But for us, having not had anything to do with the first one, the second one, we knew that we wanted to make it something that would appease the fans of the first one, but also bring in a new audience. So that if you haven't seen the first movie, you could still watch the second movie, and we'd give you just enough, hopefully, that you'd understand what you needed to understand or take away from the first film, but still totally be able to enjoy the second film as its own movie. And that was kind of what we wanted to do and what we set out to do. And yeah.
I thought it remained extremely faithful to the original, because I even thought at first that it was the same directors who made it, but no. What kind of elements and techniques did you use to ensure that you kept the same spirit of the first one?
Well, I think the spirit of the first one is Becky, like her attitude and she's just a character, and so, the first film was more handheld. We did go handheld more towards the end, in specific scenes, but regardless of how we moved the camera, as long as Lulu was in front of it, you're going to stay faithful to the first one in some regards, because she's so magnetic, and no one else can play this role. Like, it doesn't matter who's directing it. If there's no Lulu, there's no Becky, so.
She's also someone who is, despite her very young age, is also already some experience with horror. Like, she was in Ouija, Origin of Evil, in the TV series Haunting of Hill House. Did she contribute something to the horror elements of this story?
I mean, she contributes to everything. She's like the craziest person ever, in the best way. Like,
okay, tell me.
She's in blood. Like, we shot this movie in 18 days in the middle of New Jersey, and she's covered in dried blood for half of the movie. And whenever we'd say, we need more of this, she'd be like, okay. I mean, she just comes from this world, right? Like, she understands more blood is always better. So that means at her own sacrifice of sitting in dried blood, it's horrible, you guys. Like, it's an awful experience, and she'd just be sitting there like, okay, more blood is great,
Yeah, you said it. Lulu is the brand, like she is Becky. I'd add that, we wanted to, how do you make a sequel feel like its own thing, but also stay true to the material that, Carrie and John brought to life in the first one? I think we found ways to do that while also trying to evolve Becky as a character from a 13-year-old girl to a 16-year-old girl, and evolve the camera movements from more handheld to smoother, kind of sleeker feel throughout, to kind of evolve the cinematography in ways stylistically that were like smoother and sleeker, to go with her character, who is smoother and much more kind of calculated in this movie. She's going to them, they're not coming to her, those kinds of things. So we really just tried with our camera to embody that. There's also just a rhythm to this film that we wanted to establish that I think we had a lot of help from our editor, Stephen Boyer, who really got our vision for the pacing and everything, and how we wanted it to move. And I think all of those things helped kind of make it a movie that can stand on its own 2 feet whilst also being true to the original material.
Can we maybe stick to the character herself? When it comes to the psychology, if you compare the Becky with the first movie and now, here we can actually say that she became like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Is that like an evolution that we can see through the 2 movies, or was it more like, okay, in this movie we'll just reinvent her? How was it for you to make that evolution?
Well, I think we needed to find the humanity in Becky. So we needed that first act of the film to really meet Elena and get to know like who she is now, having had things calm down. And the hope is that you find some of that humanity in Becky and you see how she's coped with her trauma over a couple years, so that then when an attack does come, you get to kind of unleash the wrath of Becky. And you get to lean into kind of those psychopathic tendencies that make it fun, whilst also trying to maintain that she's human and she's not a bad person. Like, she has a soul and she has a heart. And there's moments that hopefully come through in this film where you see a beat of that, and then she kind of goes back into her wrath and loses herself. But yeah, I think hopefully we walk a little bit of that line.
So maybe there is already a question coming from the audience. Est-ce qu'il y a déjà une question dans la salle? Is er een vraag in het publiek? Ja, we hebben er een vraag. While we make everything in order with the microphone there, I'd like kindly to welcome our viewers on YouTube, because this is live streamed. Do not hesitate to put your questions in the chat, because we are able to bring your question right to the directors here on stage. So let's go back now to the question in the audience.
Hello. Hi. Asking a question. How was it fun to work in this movie, and how was it compared to a maybe more serious movie to work with? Is it more fun or light in the set or everything, or is it like a regular movie, or did you guys have more fun maybe because it's a more light-hearted movie?
Yeah, he's not letting me answer. No, it was so much fun. It was just like
We had a blast.
Yeah, we had a blast. It was like so much blood. That's all I can say. There was like so much blood, and there's nothing more fun than a 16-year-old girl running around killing a bunch of dudes.
Why am I holding her microphone?
I'm done now.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say, it was the most fun we've ever had making a movie. Our first film was very tiny and very serious and very stressful, because you don't really have the levity of the comedy and the chaos to lean into and enjoy the process of making that film. You enjoy it, but it's different. And then the second film was an entirely different beast. This film, it was just a lot of us that really loved working with each other, showing up every day and fighting the fight to like make something we all really cared about for very little. And I think it shows. Like we were like a little family, but it was the most fun we've ever had making a film. So
I have one more thing to say. Lulu Wilson was our neighbor. Like, we see her walking our dog and stuff. So it really did feel like a family affair. And, you know, notoriously, like, there'll be, like, directors and producers don't get along because the producers hold the money and they're like, don't do that, don't spend the money, even though what else are we supposed to do? Not spend the money. But that didn't happen in this movie. Everyone was like, we don't have that much money, so let's take every cent and put it on screen. And, yeah, Matt said it perfectly. It was like a little family of, like, psychopaths who like to cover people in blood.
And the extreme violence, is that a female touch in the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were definitely a lot of moments that we would fight for. They'd be like, you guys, we can't afford 3 bear traps. And I'd be like, what? No, you have to have the last bear trap. Like, we're not doing it if you don't get the last bear trap, because it's 1, 2, what the fuck? They, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I definitely fought for a lot of violence, but so did Matt, to be fair.
Another question coming from the audience. Est-ce qu'il y a encore une question dans la salle, s'il vous plaît? Okay, I'll ask a question myself. As it was already mentioned by Stefan in the introduction, you guys are a couple in real life as well. And
What?
I hope you know that. No, no. How is it to work as a couple on a set? Because
Awful.
Because
Next question. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
yeah, a set is obviously a very intense place to work and everything. How is it this for you guys, or do you just take the script to your bed and everything? How do you guys do?
So here's the thing about working with Suzanne, and I hope she feels the same way, or we should stop. We tend to agree on like 80% of everything, from just like we share a brain. And so we feel the same instincts and we say the same thing. We finish each other's sentences. And so I think 80% of the time, it's easy peasy. The other 20% of the time, it's us challenging each other in a creative environment and making each other better and learning from each other. She comes from a very different background in terms of like the film she grew up in than what I come from. So we've learned a lot from each other in the 10 years that we've been together. And I think that it helps separate our personal life from the work. Like we do a very good job of having a day on set that might be very stressful where we wanted to kill each other, and then getting in the car after and being like, sorry. And like, that's it. And then we laugh about it and we move on with our day. And those days are few and far between. It rarely happens. But when it does, we're very good at laughing about it and moving on to kind of our life together as a couple. So.
And did you guys like really direct at the same time, or was it like more you direct that scene, I do that in the meantime, or how was it?
No, that wasn't intent. Okay. No, this movie in particular, I was 7 months pregnant, so it was a lot of me just like, you go over there and tell them I'm not getting up. I actually, like I said, broke a lot of chairs. I was huge, but we do everything together. Like we're glued to each other, because that 20% Matt was talking about has to be, the 20% of differences has to be worked out in prep, or else when we're on the set, you can't, especially on indie films, you can't waste a minute. So we can't be like, but you said we were going to do this, and I said we were going to do that. Like, we have to have, that's obviously going to happen to some extent, but like, we have to have it figured out before we walk on set. That means we can't like deviate too far from each other. Like if I go to the bathroom, it's like, I'm going to the bathroom. Don't make any decisions without me if you're going to the bathroom, like, because then it just wastes time, you know? So we direct the actors, we direct the camera, we do everything together.
One of the things I like about the Becky franchise, if we could already call it that, is that it uses unusual actors as their villains. For the first film, it was Kevin James from King of Queens. For the second one, Sean William Scott, from, who most people know as Stifler from American Pie. Did you guys have some say over the casting process, and were there any other actors that you had in mind for this particular part?
I mean, you know, we did have a lot of say, and you know, a bunch of names are always thrown out, but we had a like director spidey sense about Sean William Scott, because I don't know, it's je ne sais quoi. Did I do that right? About him. We were like, there's something kind of weird, like dark about him, like, but he's like a golden retriever in real life. And you're like, I don't know. And we were right, because he's dark.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with our first meeting with him too. We sat down on a Zoom call with him to talk through kind of what we were thinking and get his take on the character and see if it all gelled. And he had such great ideas for the character, and he came to that meeting with, I think this would be an incredible backstory for the character. I think we could include this. What if this scene turns more into this and this dialogue becomes more like that, given the background of the character? Like, he was so invested in it just from the moment we sat down with him. And he just got it. And he turned what was on the page into a much more like elevated character. And
Can you give an example of his input?
Yeah, absolutely. So the scene in the office where he and I are actually in the scene together, and he's telling the story about when he served overseas. He has this long monologue, and basically what he's doing is he's sucking me in to ultimately pull the rug out from under my character and say, you know, I will kill you if you screw me here. And we get that what the message is there is that dark of a message. Like, he doesn't care. He will kill people on his own side that are his men if they're threatening what he cares about. And that was maybe this much on the page originally, and it was such a softer version of what that monologue became. And he said to me, I want a monologue. Like, I want it to be about his backstory, and I want it to ultimately show just how dangerous he is. And it became like a 1.5-page, 2-page monologue. And that would not have existed without Sean William Scott's input. And that is really like a foundational moment in his character where you realize how threatening and how dangerous he is.
Okay, do we have a question coming from the audience? Est-ce qu'il y a une question dans la salle maintenant? Quelqu'un? No. So guys, on our YouTube channel you can still ask your questions if there are any, so go ahead. I will ask a question myself then. We already talked a lot of the characters. Let's talk a bit about the casting process, because it's a very important part of the process, making your script alive. What is important for you when you cast actors, and how did it come forward for this movie?
Well, we just, outside of Sean, we just held auditions, and most of the actors came out of New York because we were shooting in New Jersey. And, for us, especially as it relates to the noblemen, it was imperative to us that they all seemed very different from one another and not just a general douchebaggery casting call. Like, they all had to be very specific douchebags. And, obviously Matt played one of them very well. Just kidding. But no, you did. So yeah, I think, I don't know how to answer that question, just because I can't do what actors do. And there's just a like with Aaron, he came on, he played DJ. He came on in a bulletproof vest, and we were like, okay, he gets this. He gets these types of guys. So there's just a feeling, and then Jill Larson, who played Daryl Sr., is obviously a pro.
Yeah, I was just going to add, it's a sense you get, I think, when you start watching tapes or they come into rooms, depending on what the situation is. Like, for me, when I read something, there's typically like a quality to each character. And if you take Elena's character, for example, we knew that, like, you can look at those lines on the page and deliver them any number of ways. But for us, it was a warm wisdom. Like, that was the thing. It was like, Elena needs to have a warm wisdom. She needs to feel tired and have lived a very troubled life. And what does that do to you as a person? There's like a certain energy and a weight. And she was the only actress, Denise Burse, who's just phenomenal in the role. I love watching her scenes. She had that weight, and she was the only actress who we saw who within a second you're like, oh, that's it, that's her. And it was a similar thing with Jill Larson. You're like, we need that energy, that drawl, that, like, what is that thing for Daryl Sr.? And she had it right away. And most filmmakers will tell you, like, the moment you see the person, it doesn't take long for you to be like, that's the person. And so for me, I think bringing these characters to life was kind of like you're able to look at each of them, and hopefully they're different enough on the page that you can go, what's the quality in DJ, or the quality in Anthony, or the quality in Elena that we're looking for, and that makes it much easier to kind of pinpoint when you see the actors.
And what was the reaction of the actress playing Becky that there was of the second movie coming up in the first place? Was she like, yeah, I can be a psychopath again? Or
Yeah, Lulu Wilson was 100% on board. She will tell you, like, Becky is her favorite character. She loved playing Becky years ago. She's like, she says, I've known Becky since I was 11, because I was 11 when I got the script for the first one, and when, like, it came to me. And now she's 17. So it's a character that's very near and dear to her heart that she talks about a lot. So she was so excited and so on board.
She did like 50% of those stunts on her own. More than 50? Wow. Yeah, like she did all this. We were safe, obviously, but she's a badass. She's just rolling and jumping and doing all that stuff.
how is it to work in the States with minor actors? Anyway, because here in Belgium we have to be very flexible when it comes to working hours and
Yeah.
everything.
We do too. Yeah. It's there for a reason, and it is hard, especially on an indie film, indie budget. But you just, they got to get their sleep. They're little babies.
Like your child, maybe a little director coming up, or
Oh God, I hope not. This is a hard job, guys. Just kidding. I love it. I love it. I love it. No, it'd be great if he was a director. I'd like him to be like a teacher or something, so I could be like, I'm so proud of him. Something important that doesn't, whatever.
For the record, if he ever watches this, you can be whatever you want to be. And we will be
you're
proud
good
of you.
parents anyway.
I'm the good cop, bad cop in this relationship.
The same on set.
It's the same on set. Like I'm like the nice one, and she's like the scary one.
I'm nice.
She's nice, but she's scarier than I. Steven, our editor's here. Steven, would you agree? Yeah, I'm the nice one.
The wrath of Suzanne.
Yeah, the wrath of Suzanne.
The fourth installment.
Yeah.
It's just me on set.
Talking about a third installment, I need one.
Okay.
Will there be a third one, and will the two of you be involved?
I'll say there's a chance, and while nothing is official, we hope to be involved, and we have a lot of ideas for where it goes, and we set up something very specific at the end of the second film, and that is very intentional. We didn't just go like, oh, this would be fun. I mean, we did. We were like, that would be fun, but we knew why we were doing it, and we had a plan for if there's a third installment. Yeah, we're leaving the door open for what we would want to do.
And could you make it even nastier than this one?
Oh yeah,
Always.
always.
We got a lot of ideas. Sorry. We got a lot of ideas of how to kill people.
That brings me to a little game that I wanted to play
Oh,
with
shit.
you.
Okay.
So let's see how creative the two of you can be.
Okay.
I went to a random word generator to give me a couple of objects, and the two of you have to tell me how Becky would kill someone with with these objects.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay, let's see. The first one is a basketball.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Does the pump come with it? The hand pump or just the
Yeah, of
basketball?
course,
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
too easy. That's too easy.
No, just a basketball.
Just the
then.
basketball.
Yeah.
I think she'd cut it open, unfold it into like just a flat, flappy object, and just wrap it around the person's face and suffocate them.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought of. I don't know.
Just say that she'd take the basketball and beat the shit at, like, crush.
Well, that's boring.
That's
though.
how I
mean,
would do
that's-
it.
Take forever, but she could do it.
But we just saw that. Like she took the knife and
It's
she
a
did it.
basketball. It's a basketball. It's hard. Okay, go again.
Let's
Okay.
keep the tension
The
in this
second
game.
one.
And because there's another question, let's
Okay.
play the game after this question because
I like
I'm
the game.
excited.
I like the game.
The question is, do you have the project to make her grow, make her more violent? It's a question from YouTube.
Yeah, can we make her more violent? I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the, like,
Yeah, I think they mean like when there's another movie coming up or something.
oh, yeah, yeah. So we would love, if there's a third one, yes, and we will make her more violent.
What if
Yes.
we kill Lulu's cats? That would make her more violent, no?
If we kill,
Lulu's cats.
Oh, no.
did you say her cats?
Yeah, I think she has 5
Oh my
cats or
God!
something.
You just pushed like, you just brought the wrath of Becky. They are like Lulu's cats are everything.
One of her cats is named Daryl. Like in the movie.
It is, yeah. But like good Daryl, like a good Daryl. Yeah, we have. Here's what I'll say, because Suzanne and I have talked about like, oh, if there was a third movie, what would we do and what would it look like? There are ideas for like what those deaths could look like and what we might do, and they definitely become more innovative because you have to, you have to kind of start getting creative. You have to level up.
Okay, go ahead. I'm curious what the next object is.
The next object is a mushroom.
A mushroom?
I didn't invent it. I went to a random word generator.
Is it a poisonous mushroom? No. Okay, doesn't it would? Okay. I think she would open up their mouth and shove the mushroom into their esophagus and make them choke. That's a good one.
Unless it was poisonous, in which case she would like
It's just easy. Yeah.
subtly plant it somewhere until, I don't know. But yeah, no, she'd definitely just shove it down their throat until they choke to death.
Okay, the third object is a Bible.
That's sacrilegious. I mean, it's great. Let's see. Oh, wow, I just had like a really... I was going to say she'd set it on fire and like throw it at someone after she lit it with gasoline.
No, but then she didn't say gasoline.
She didn't say we couldn't have gasoline involved.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the Bible is doing the killing, so...
Burn them alive with a burning Bible.
Oof.
Isn't that cute?
Are we gonna
they
get-
just said both that they will be on fire.
Yeah. We both heard Bible and somehow went to light it on fire, which I think means we're canceled.
No.
Is that... No?
No.
Oh, okay. Good.
And actually, the fourth object, and I really didn't invent it. The random word generator gave me the word cross. So I really think it's a religious.
Oh my God, this is the really evil word generator.
Okay.
How big is the cross? Is Jesus on the cross? Is it a Catholic crucifix, or is it like
I think for the third film, we should go with Becky against demons or something.
Ooh,
Like constant.
noted. Constantine, yeah.
I mean, that's like the easiest one because it's pointy as shit. Yeah. So the eye, the ear. They did the eye in the first one. I don't know.
She'd stab someone. I don't know. We'll go with stab. Through the forehead. Yeah. Oh, we did through the forehead. Okay. We suck. I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, I'm out of ideas. We're fired.
I'd like more time. Pass.
Is there a very last question, maybe?
Encore une question dans la salle, peut-être.
Otherwise, we're going to wrap up.
Okay, thank you very much for this Q&A. Merci beaucoup
Thank you.
de faire ce Q&A.
Thank
Thank
so
you
much.
very
for
much,
the incredible film
our
as well.
I'd like to thank our viewers on YouTube. Stay tuned and hit the notification bell that you guys know right away when you have another live stream here with the BIF. Merci beaucoup. Il y a la possibilité de recevoir une signature ici des réalisateurs. There's a possibility to have a signature here from the directors. Het is ook mogelijk om een handtekening te krijgen van de regisseurs hier op het podium.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sorry.
That was a great game.
That was so fun.
Very creative. You stay here?
Yeah, because the people will have and normally there's also...
We did that, the big book. Yeah.
The Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
Never.
That's great.
Never. Never.
Okay, cool. Bye. I think we can go, right? course.
those ones, because so we can keep it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not public. I'm fest team. You know?
No, you're good.
I'm not
Even if you were.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was very nice
See
meeting
you
you.
for the next movie.
That's right. That's right.
Couple years, who knows?